Good morning and welcome to Backyard and Beyond. Yes, Croix's supposed to be calling us today, but he's a busy guy, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that. But Croix Sather, and give you some background on him so that we can talk more about his ideas when he calls. He started out in New York. His father was a carpenter, working 7 days a week. His parents, he says, went without eating to feed their 3 children. And so, he started out pretty humble beginnings, a little challenge there, but the challenge just got even bigger. At age 14, when he was riding his bike, he was hit head-on by a drunk driver. His bike, of course, was crushed, but he was thrown 50 feet through the air before crashing to the ground. And when he was rushed to the trauma center, the neurosurgeon told his parents, if he survives, he will be a vegetable for the rest of his life. Well, he did spend 4 critical days in a coma. He pulled through after 2 weeks in the hospital, which seems a pretty short time for all the things that had happened to him. But then more than a year spent in casts and years of physical rehabilitation, he's now out running big time. One of his things he's doing right now is running a marathon each day for 100 days. That means running 30 miles each day for 100 days, plus the other things he's doing during this trip that he's on. Well, this all happened to him, this critical thing happened to him at 14. So then what happens? Well, that led him into some trouble. He lost interest in school. He started stealing cars just for thrills, returned them later. And, he was not in a very good situation. But, of course, he was caught, and he had to pay restitution and do community service. And he says that community service is what helped turn his life around. And at first he did follow in his father's footsteps in terms of having a very successful construction business, but he wasn't really happy doing that, so tried some other things trying to get to what it was he really wanted to do. What he's doing now is, as I said, it's called Run Across America, running 100 marathons, and then in addition, giving a talk each place he's at, trying to reach underserved adults and children to kind of get them to be thinking about, well, if you dream big and act big, good things can happen to you. So, in his searching for what he wanted to do, he really has become this motivational speaker and author of several books. The one now, as I said, is called Dream Big, Act Big, Breakthrough and Unleash the Superstar Within You. His first book was more about building a good body, and that book, of course, is still available. Better Body, Better Life. So he said he dabbled in several careers and just was not happy in any of those. So he did end up going to college and studying the psychology, hypnosis, neuro-linguistic programming, some very interesting things having to do with our brain. And he's trying to pass on the things that motivated him, the things that he's learned to be successful in his life, to help others. This is for a big title, is a pretty small book, one that you can read easily. I always like the books when they're nonfiction books, something that you can read a chapter, get something out of it, and put it down again, and then pick it up. You don't have to be reading it continuously, and you also can read kind of from chapter to chapter around through the book. You don't necessarily have to read it consecutively. So, through this, it's just, he says things that when you read them, you go, oh yeah, that's right. That's interesting. One of the things that he talks about is how we name things, the words we use to make things softer and easier rather than, as he calls it, just putting it out there like it is. So, for instance, he gets criticized because he calls people fat rather than overweight. And he says people want life's challenges to be softened for them by using those euphemisms and sugar coating. We say love handles, a few extra pounds, overweight, big boned, or shapely, rather than unhealthy or fat. And you may not agree with the way he thinks, but I think it's just interesting to me to think about how those words do make a difference. He talks about people being broke or people being poor, and there is a difference. Poor people have little money. Broke people are those that are reckless with their money and broke because of stupid money habits. Broke people spend more than they make and don't save money living beyond their means. So he's saying, let's put the truth on it. Let's say it like it is. And those words are very important, not just because you're talking to other people, but when you talk to yourself, that you tell yourself, well, it's because I'm this way, rather than, well, here's the facts. One of the things that he suggests is saying to do what you want to do. If you really want to change, if you think there's something better for you, and he calls that being a superstar, then what you need to do is find true role models, not just look at them, but ask them for advice. And most of those role models will be thrilled and honored that you ask them. So look around and find people who are like what you would like to be and take a look at it. And this book is not just for younger people. It is also for anybody who thinks they would like to maybe change, move on, that sort of thing. He also talks about to get a dream to happen, you must first imagine it. And that's kind of like setting a goal, but maybe it's the step before setting a goal. Then you must believe it. That's putting the work to it. And then you must achieve it. And so, again, he's doing this run across America to pass these words on. And by the way, one of his goals is also to give away 100,000 of his books to people that might benefit from sharing his dreams, sharing his ideas, sharing what he believes. He says, in terms of this imagining, believing, achieving, in terms of his life, he says, once I acknowledged and embraced the belief, then the only thing I need to do to become a world-recognized educator of personal empowerment was to take massive action and consistently move toward my dream. And once I did, my dream's starting to become a reality. And that's when he came up with this Dream Big, Act Big, Run Across America. He actually wrote the book while he was making the plans to do this run, but now he's in the process. He left San Diego on January 26th. He's now in Arizona, and of course he's having to move on here pretty fast because he wants to end up in New York City. Interesting young man. He's 41. He's had lots of life experiences, and again wanting to share those with other folks. He talks about grasshoppers a bit. Make the leap. If you catch a grasshopper and put him in a glass jar with the top on, he will jump and jump and jump and keep banging his head. Let him do this for a couple of days and take the top off. Most grasshoppers will not jump out and be free. What kind of lesson is that? When we are children and throughout college, many of us are in a glass jar with a lid. Someone else is always telling us what to do and what our ceiling is. So once we're out of college, we're out of the jar, we still think that ceiling is there and don't make the next leap to something perhaps no one thought we could do. You never hear a person on their deathbed saying, I wish I played it safe. I wish I had tried fewer things. I wish that I took fewer risks. I wish I experienced less. I wish my life was boring and unfulfilling. Now, most people don't say that at the ends of their lives. If they wished for anything, it was wished they had done something better or more interesting. Now, that's not true of everybody, because some people lead very interesting lives, have done what they wanted to do, and made that happen. Some other chapters in his book include things like Secret to Success, Stand Tall and Run Boldly Through Life, Your Dream is Impossible, Stop Thinking Small, Can You See Your Future? Well, if you're more interested in this young man's trek across America, 100 marathons in 100 days, of course, you just go to his website, Dream Big, Act Big. You can see exactly where he's at and what he's doing and find out more about his book. So, one of the things that he says, until next time, remember this, the quickest way to failure is to live your life down to someone else's rules and values.